Are you too busy to pick out the perfect outfit every day? I get it. It's tough to juggle work, life, and still find the time to focus on fashion. That's where Armoire comes in. With a clothing rental membership, you can effortlessly turn heads with stylish, everyday looks tailored just for you. With all of our book events and photo ops recently, I've rented all my outfits from Armoire. It's been so fun and so great to not have to buy a whole new wardrobe, but also be on trend and even experiment with some different styles. All I did was take a quick 5-minute style quiz, build a personalized closet, and wait for high-quality, unique pieces delivered to my door in as little as 2 days. Oh, and did I mention that Armoire is women-founded and women-led? Right now, our listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/dateable. That's Armoire, spelled ARMOIRE.style/DATEABLE to get up to 50% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today.
I know firsthand how much stress can mess with your hormones. Between work, life, and everything else, it's easy to feel completely out of balance. That's where Happy Mammoth comes in. They offer a free 2-minute quiz that can help you uncover the root cause of your hormonal symptoms. It's super easy. Just answer a few questions about what you're going through and where you're at in life. You'll get a personalized recommendation to help balance your hormones and start feeling better. When I took the quiz, it suggested that my body may be overloaded with hormone estrogen and may be struggling to metabolize it. By taking Hormone Harmony, it could help with bloating, anxiety, fatigue, overwhelm, and so much more. With over 40,000 5-star reviews and a bottle selling every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. So if you're ready to start feeling like yourself again, head over to happymammoth.com and take their free 2-minute hormone quiz today to find the ultimate answers to your stubborn hormonal issues. And for a limited time, you could also get 15% off your entire first order with our code DATEABLE at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DATEABLE for 15% off today.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Krafchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of Dateable.
Yay. Julie, I feel like we need an update on your wedding planning. We haven't talked about it in a while. We're all dying to know.
It's so relevant to dating in your 40s, getting married in your 40s. You know, actually, I feel like things are pretty under control.
Great.
I feel like we're in good shape.
It's coming up.
I know.
like we're almost in summer.
I know. It's crazy. 4 months out.
Good
May,
job.
June, July, August. Yeah, 4 months out. So invites are going out.
You seem very chill and calm about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have just been getting like a slew of wedding TikTok come through. I don't know what I clicked that put me into the algorithm, but I'm just getting all these ones about like all these ideas and things you need to do. And I'm just like, why is any of this necessary?
It's not. It's really not.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to offend someone with this. I know I'm going to offend someone, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think there is nothing cringier to me than like the bride and groom and bridesmaids and groomsmen like doing like coordinated dances in. And maybe you'll take offense because I know you love dancing. And sorry, Yue, you don't get to do a dance. This is my nice way of telling you.
I only think it's acceptable if everybody's a good dancer. That's how I feel. That's like I'm the dance snob in this. And I think it's very cringe when people can't dance and then they try to do the coordinated dance. Yeah.
I think it's cringe even if you are a really good dancer. And I stand by it. And that's my, I know I'm going to offend someone to take.
Sure. I think so too. But I did watch the wedding dance video of 2 like professional dancers. And it was like a Beyonce concert. It literally was like, oh my God, I would so be into this. But both people were professional dancers.
So this is why I don't like it. I think like you actually made me able to verbalize it, is that it feels very performative. Like you said, I'm like watching a performance. I feel like to me, I want to just like enjoy the day with my friends and family and like not be like performing at my wedding. And I know like sometimes you are and there is a thing, but I just don't want that. That's like what I'm opting out of.
Yeah. And I think that's an intentional choice. I think you would have to ask a lot of people, like, why are you putting on a wedding? And some people would say it's for friends and family. Like, they wouldn't even say it's for them first and foremost. It's for my friends and family. And then it would be definitely the performative aspect to it all. It just depends on what you value for your wedding.
Yeah. For us, it's like people having fun, us celebrating, and eating good food. That's
if your partner broke out into a coordinated dance,
he would never, first of all.
He would never, but I would literally drop. I would just drop to the floor. Like, that would be the ultimate surprise.
He's not like, going to. Sorry.
He's like, I've been secretly taking dance lessons. He's doing flips.
I don't know. I did talk to like a friend about this, and she was like, oh, it's kind of like fun to do leading up. And I see that side of it. And I see that it's like your moment. And again, I feel bad. I feel like I'm being judgmental, but I'm trying not to be judgmental. If that's your jam, do it. But for me, it's just not mine. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. I think like everything we do is going to be someone else's cringe. That's what I've learned.
Totally.
And like something you do for your wedding, someone else would be like, I would never do that. I would never use white napkins at a wedding, whatever. But that's why it's your wedding and you got to do it your way. But yes, I've seen plenty of cringe-worthy coordinated dances. It's only cringe if you don't know the bride and groom that well. Like, I've been a +1 to these weddings so that you don't even think it's funny. It's just like, this is so cringe. But I guess if you know them well and it's like an inside joke or you think this is so out of character, it's kind of fun.
I think I don't like them because I've had to partake in them before. Yeah, and it always feels really awkward to me, and I feel cringe doing it.
That's annoying to make other people be part of it, right? Because not everybody wants to do that.
So have you been working on your officiant speech already?
Yeah, it's a coordinated dance. You do have some coordinated steps in this.
You're like, all of mine is nonverbal. It's all through dance.
It's interpretive dance with your maid of honor rapping.
You aspired.
It's going to be insane. You'll love it. And then we're going to do a gender reveal in the middle of your wedding.
Wait, just a gender reveal of who?
Who cares? It doesn't even matter. Who cares? We just want to make like, all of your favorite things happen.
Things. Oh, my God.
No, I'm glad that the wedding planning is going well. You just seem like you had it under control. Really impressive.
Yeah, I think this is something I'm actually good at, is just like taking tasks and just doing them. And that's probably why I've been in charge of people's bachelorette parties in the past, because I can just do it. It's like not difficult for me. And like there's a lot of stuff that's difficult for me. So I'm not saying this like I have it all figured out, but this is one area that I'm like, I am able to just do it and move.
Yeah.
And I have no qualms about like following up with people or pushing. And I think other people too. Like my partner would not want to do any of this. And like he is definitely there. He like I've heard there's some grooms that like don't even come to any of like the meetings and like they're really hands off. He's definitely not like that. But I'm like leading, like getting stuff done kind of
For
thing.
sure. Yeah. Your fiance is very into the food.
He has opinions on things and music.
Yes.
He definitely has things that he has opinions on. I feel like we've been really in sync too, like on our opinions, which has been good.
That's good. Yeah, you don't want someone being like, I want 90s hip hop, and the other one's like, no, classical rock or whatever.
So this is actually like he loves music, as you know, but his music is not like wedding party dance music.
No.
But he has acknowledged that. And he's like, I'm okay playing like pop songs that people are going to dance to. So we'll find a place for some of the songs. We are going to have the guitarist at the wedding, which will like the ceremony, which will be really nice. And then at like cocktail hour, but like at the actual, like when it's time to dance, like, you know, when the dance floor clears is when people don't know the songs. So you gotta stay a little popular, but no chicken dance.
I heard a little tip from someone who just went to a wedding, his brother's wedding. He said this was really helpful. So they did a group photo on the dance floor after dinner, and then the DJ started playing music and everybody was dancing. So you don't have that awkward, like, who's going to start dancing first, because everyone's already on the dance floor. It's like, oh,
I like that.
That's cool.
I think we're also going to do like our first dance, so that will like get people over too.
Oh, you're doing a dance.
So we are doing a dance. We are doing a first dance. We're just not like coordinating it and taking lessons or anything like that. We're going to just stand there and sway. And my dad wants to do a dance. His mom wants to do a dance.
Oh, that's cute.
So we'll force people to come over and watch that way.
Oh, that's cute. This is related to our topic today because things are different when you get married in your 40s and when you start dating in your 40s, because I will say every wedding I went to of people who were in their 20s, their weddings were all the same, because I think at that age, you don't really know what you want. You've just seen what you've seen and you just replicate. But as we do get older, the weddings become more bespoke because you develop more of a personal taste. So that's kind of one of the benefits. It's like you get to have a wedding that's very unique to you.
I also feel like, I don't know, our venue, you could have extended it, but it ends at 10. And we're like, we're okay with that.
Yeah, 10's good.
In our 40s. In our 20s, we would have been like, wait, we're ending at 10?
I know.
So that's a key difference. I think the other difference is just partying in general. Like, obviously, I want people to have fun and dance if they want to. But, like, if people aren't, like, all on the dance floor, like, I don't care. I think people will be just because there's a crew that likes to dance that will be there. So I think it will happen. But it's not like, oh, my God, everyone must be like on the dance floor for hours on end, or it's a bad wedding. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, because you care more about the food. And I also do think the food quality gets better with age.
Well, that too. Clearly, that is important to us. We love fine dining and like eating well. And UA came to the caterer meals, so you got a taste. And we were really happy with this caterer. And I think for us, like, we're like, this is where we want to put more money. And everyone needs to like find what works for them. But like for us, that was a big piece. The older you get, your priorities change. That might be a good way to put it.
Yeah. Where you spend your money changes. All the wedding food I had when I was younger was awful, terrible. But I didn't care because I was like, I'm here to drink. I'm here for the open bar.
Right.
Totally different than now.
And now everyone's like, I don't even drink anymore.
Yeah. I have no desire.
We will be having a lot of good mocktails as well.
Okay, good. Yes. Oh yeah, I had one at the tasting. It was delicious.
We're like, actually, there's this store that's in San Francisco, but it's also in the town where we're having our wedding. That's a non-alcoholic spirit company.
Oh.
So we're going to like get like good stuff too from them.
What are they called?
It's called Better Sunday, which is such a cute name.
Oh, that's such a cute name.
Because it is a better Sunday when you're not hungover.
That's adorable. I'm looking forward to my mocktails.
I'm excited for just like a weekend too with people, because I think like the town that we're going to be in is so cute. There's so much to do there.
Yeah.
It's such like quintessential wine country, but like not the like super expensive over the top side. Like it's more down to earth Russian River area. So I'm very excited about just the weekend part as a whole.
Yes. But first, your bachelorette. We're going to go through a couple
first
milestones before we get to your wedding. How did people do it before? They used to do bachelorette and bachelor the night before the wedding, right?
That sounds
Traditionally?
like a terrible idea to me, right? Like that sounds such like a bad idea. I think though this is actually kind of an interesting area about your 40s. So clearly like a lot of my friends have children and have responsibilities when you're in your 40s. But what I've found is a lot of them are also like, yeah, let's party.
Yeah, this is their vacation.
I haven't done this in a while and I'm down. And I think like in your 20s, I'm not going to lie, and I mean this in an endearing way, but there were so many bachelorette parties that like it kind of got repetitive a little. But like because people haven't had one in a long time, I think they're like excited.
We should normalize having bachelorette parties even if you're not getting married. We should just do it.
I'm down to throw one for you anytime.
I still remember my ex-boyfriend from Beijing. After we broke up, he had this, I don't know, he had an epiphany. He's like, I'm never going to get married. It's just a fact. So he threw himself a bachelor party. They did it in 2 different countries. Like 30 guys participated. and they had the best time. And even though like the breakup was not great, I still was like, good for him.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really fun. Go celebrate yourself. Go celebrate your forever bachelorhood.
I think another key difference of maybe getting married in my 40s is I'm definitely excited about the party and all that. Don't get me wrong. But I think I'm more like, I just want to be like, I want our marriage to start. I want this life to like start and be built. And like, I think I'm almost like a little more even excited for the ceremony than the actual reception. Like there's something to me that feels very like romantic around the ceremony. And I love this idea. I think this is the part that got me on board with weddings, because initially I was like, I don't even want to have a wedding, just, you know, get married and whatever. But I do love that this is like really the only time in your life that like your friends and family come together from like all different parts.
Well, and funerals, yes.
In a happy way.
Yes. Celebratory.
But also like, even in a funeral, like what are the odds of like my partner's family and mine and his friends and my friends? You know, it's like really the only time where everyone comes together to celebrate and, you know, be happy and joyful. And I think that part, I'm excited about that. Like I'm not like excited to be like, let me just like get wasted at my wedding, but like I'm excited to like, you know, be with people. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
That are celebrating
and have
us.
people witness this union. I think it's really special too, because you don't really get that in any other capacity. Well, unless like a baptism, I guess.
Yeah. In my 20s, though, I think I would have been maybe more focused on like the party end.
Definitely.
For sure. It's funny because I started off being like, do I even have bridesmaids? Because I'm like, does anyone really want to do this anymore? Because we're like in our 40s.
Yeah.
And like a bunch of my friends were like, we want to be in it. And I'm like, okay, if people want to do it, like I'm down to do it. But I was like kind of under that mindset, like no one wants to do it because we're old. But I don't know.
Because we're old. Well, on that note, this is a great episode for anybody who's just feeling old.
Well, okay. I don't mean, you know, it's all in the eye of the beholder. You know, everyone, I feel like, yeah, in like 10 years, I'll be like, I was so young back then. But I am really excited that we're diving into this episode of dating in your 40s and beyond, because, you know, dating in your 30s, we did that episode. It was wildly popular. 30s is an interesting intersection because there's so much, like, that's like the timeline you've been fed of like, this is when I find my partner.
Yeah.
And there was clearly a lot to unpack there. We'll link that episode in the show notes. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen. But I love dating in your 40s because one, it's the new 30s. And then two, I feel like you kind of like have no more fucks to give at a certain point, but also like your life stage could be totally different. Like maybe you already have children or you're very established in your career. It's just a very different time, not just age-wise, but life stage-wise.
I do love how our guest for this episode calls it dating in your second act. You can interpret that however you want. To me, it's like a restart. It's almost a new phase of life. I think the 30s and maybe even some of the 40s closes out those earlier chapters. And then you get to start this life that comes from experience and wisdom and history. So there is just a lot more depth and meat in how we date in our 40s and beyond. And Kimmy Seltzer specifically coaches people who are dating in the second act, especially in regaining their confidence and regaining their sense of agency over their love lives.
Yeah, I think it's really good that we had Kimmy join us for this conversation because she clearly has the perspective of all of her clients. And then from her podcast, Charisma Quotient, where we've been guests as well. But then also for her own story, like she got married when she was younger in her 20s. And then went through a divorce in her 30s and then was back into the dating scene. So she kind of had that perspective of someone that maybe was dating again, but they didn't have like the pressure of necessarily like finding the partner to have kids with. And then like we also clearly had our own experiences as people that don't have children and haven't been married before. So I think it was a really good way to tackle and touch on the various places you could be coming in your 40s, because I think it also can't be assumed that everyone in their 40s has already had children and settled down, especially in today's world where that is not always the norm.
Right. I think this is where the biggest differences could happen in dating other people, right? Like, I think you could have very different life stages while dating in your 40s and beyond. And then kind of navigating all that, like, no matter where you are, whoever you meet now, I say this to all my girlfriends who are now dating again in their 40s. It's like, you're going to have to accept there are going to be a lot of different paths that people took that you may call baggage. I just call different choices.
I think that's such a good point. And it's not like at least from observing your dating life in that last time around, it definitely seemed like that was something you ran into a lot and had a lot more flexibility on.
Yep, definitely. Just have to be very open and accepting and date with a lot of compassion. From now on.
And we'll get into all of the differences in this episode. There's so many. There's such an interesting topic and perspective, whether you're in your 40s or maybe you're not even in your 40s yet, but you want to see what has to come. The best is always to come. And then we also talk about beyond your 40s too. So if you're like, okay, I'm beyond, we got you. We got you covered as well.
And of course, while you're thinking about dating your 40s or 30s or 20s or whatever decade you're in, our book, How to Be Dateable, addresses every stage of dating, no matter what life stage you're in, and will help you navigate through all the ups and downs that dating can present you. So you can find our book at howtobedateable.com if you haven't yet. Best place is to download the audiobook, but also get the hardcover because you want the companion book.
And if you have already read the book, if you can leave us a rating and review wherever you bought the book, or if you have a Goodreads profile there as well, it helps so much. And we always say it's like no one writes reviews, but we're asking, I guess, as a favor to leave us a 5-star review. And hopefully that's what you thought of the book, because we put so much time and effort into it, and we really hope that it delivered for you.
And a big shout out to some of our Goodreads reviews. Julie, I finally got around to reading them the other day. I was like, I'm going to work up enough confidence to read these reviews. And I was pleasantly surprised. A lot of those reviews are not from people who know us from the podcast. And they found the book surprisingly deep and insightful, which is always great. Really, really shout out to all those reviewers. Thank you for liking our book and giving us a review.
And we were warned from our publisher too, an agent, that people can get nasty on Goodreads, even if they've never read the book. So we're glad that hasn't happened. And if it comes, hopefully your good review will counter any of those. I'm also excited for some of our upcoming book events that we have coming up in May. We have a couple signings in San Francisco. We have a literary festival we're going to, and then an event at the Santa Monica Public Library. So make sure to follow us at Dateable Podcast or visit dateablepodcast.com/events and come see us live and get your book signed. Okay, well, before we get into it, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. When was the last time you checked the ingredients in your dishwasher pods? Spoiler alert, they're full of chemicals and microplastics that can stay on your dishes even after they're washed. And studies show that this residue ends up inside of you, causing inflammation and gut damage. Blueland is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet with the same powerful clean you're used to. They offer refillable cleaning products with a beautiful, cohesive design that looks great on your counter. From cleaning sprays to hand soap, toilet bowl cleaners, and laundry tablets, Blueland has you covered. And Blueland is trusted in over 1 million homes, including mine. I use their dishwasher tablets for every load, and my dishes always come out sparkling clean. I love how compact the packaging is and how affordable they are. Refill tablets start at just $2.25, and you can get even more savings when you buy in bulk or through a subscription. Celebrate Earth Month and make the switch today. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/dateable. You won't want to miss this. blueland.com/dateable for 15% off. That's blueland.com/dateable to get 15% off.
For so long, I viewed bras and shapewear as torture devices. Like, who invented them? But I've since changed my mind because I tried Skims. The Fits Everybody collection from Skims is like nothing I've ever tried before. Everything just molds to my body. Almost feels like I'm not wearing anything at all. Now, I've heard all about Skims for so long, and let me tell you, they sure live up to the hype. I've really enjoyed wearing the cheeky bikini underwear. It's like my go-to underwear because honestly, I just can't do thongs anymore. But this is is the perfect combination of a no-show and comfy. And I also found the perfect color to match my skin, so the undies don't show through white pants. Yeah, finally. Shop Skims Ultimate Bra Collection and more at skims.com and Skims LA flagship on Sunset Boulevard. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show, Dateable, in the drop-down menu that follows.
Okay, let's dive into dating in your 40s.
All right, welcome back, Kimmy Seltzer, to our podcast. We have not talked to you in a while, but it was a fun time when we talked to you last time.
I know. We were all trying to figure out how to date during the pandemic, and now we're all trying to figure out how to date post-pandemic.
Yep, it's always something, but we're so excited to have you back. Second-time guest over here. You had a crowd favorite before. And, you know, we had this super popular episode a couple seasons ago, dating in your 30s. So we wanted to go into dating in your 40s and beyond. And we thought, you know, Kimmy Seltzer is the perfect person because of your own experiences and all the people you coach.
I'm so glad we're talking about it.
Well, let's just give everybody a refresher. Tell us your backstory again. What was that journey going from divorce to moving to LA and starting all over?
Yeah, I'm glad that we're refreshing my story. And, you know, and even if you've listened to my story, I always invite people to listen again because sometimes you hear different things in the same story, depending on where you are in your life and things that resonate with you. And so, yeah, I mean, my story began in Chicago. I was this kind of good Midwest girl, had this cushy life being a therapist for many, many years. And it was very traditional. And I thought my life was going to kind of be that, you know, and I had a couple of kids, the picket fence, the dog, the husband. I still have the kids, by the way, but you see where we literally just picked up and we moved across the country. We had an opportunity to land here in La La Land. I always wanted to live in California. And it was almost the minute that we landed, the record stopped, as I call it, and we ended up doing what all the other people here do. We get a divorce. I'm joking. I like to blame LA. Poor LA. It would have happened anyway, for sure.
Well, in LA, you're going to drive and you're going to get a divorce. It's the 2 Ds.
Yeah.
You got to follow both of them.
I love that. And then you have to date. Maybe it's the triple D,
triple.
right? So then, yeah, and I would like to say that it was the move, but really what I think happened too is we removed ourselves from the cushion and the insulation of our life where we weren't really kind of facing the music and things were happening. And when you don't have your support system around you and you're just, you know, sitting there with the two of you, you realize, wow, there's issues. So there I was all alone in my new castle, not knowing what to do with my new life. And I had 0 friends. All my friends were back in Chicago. I had 2 young kids and still wearing my nursing bra. You know, I wasn't nursing them any longer, but I was so like stuck in this like mom mode, right? And then now I'm supposed to go out and date. Like it was not a sexy look. I'll just say that.
How old were you at this point, Kimmy?
So I'm in my mid 30s at this point.
Okay.
So it was a while back. I'm a veteran. I've earned my stripes. And I love that because I feel like I can help people in all different stages. I never understand people who are married and never been out in the modern dating world give advice because it's different now.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. It was almost like I was in a rocket, you know, orbiting the Earth. And then I get plopped down to the same Earth and the door lifts up and I'm like, oh my God, like everyone looks different. The men look different. They're acting different. I'm different. And so I really had to learn how to, you know, speak to the aliens that I saw around the Earth, you know, because it had been so long. And I just remember during that time completely being in analysis paralysis. And, you know, it's funny because here I was a therapist, which made it worse because I should know better, right? And I did what I preached. I did the work and I really did. I healed and I went to therapy, yet I wasn't taking action. And so, you know, time would go by and people would say, Kimmy, you know, when are you going to go out there and date? And I would say, oh, you know, I'm just doing the work. And then, you know, cut to 6 months after that. So, Kimmy, when are you going out and dating? And I said, oh, you know, I'm just not ready. I'm still doing the work. I wasn't taking action with the knowledge that I was gaining because why? I was scared. You know, I was just literally frozen. So I'll never forget the day that changed my entire life. And it was something that really took me by surprise. I decided to do something very untraditional. I don't know what happened, but one day I just woke up and I looked in the mirror and I was horrified what I saw. Like I really saw myself in these like ginormous black clothes, which is funny because now here I am, an image consultant, right? And you know what I do. And I saw the nursing bras on, I had flip-flops on, my hair's a mess. I'm like, what happened to me? I literally lost myself. So I went shopping. Like that's where it all happened, shopping therapy. And I go to the store and I think I'm up-leveling myself by buying new clothes. But no, what am I doing? I'm putting black clothes in my arms yet again. Same darn thing. And this personal shopper, she came up to me. She was watching me and she says, ma'am, I really think you should try this on. And she holds up a red dress that looked like 3 sizes too small. And I said, that's very sweet of you, but that's not my size. And that's certainly not my color. She says, honey, that is your size. That is your color. Try it on. Just like that. And when sometimes people come to you with different messages and maybe you can't hear it at the time. Well, I heard it loud and clear. And I'm like, she is right. I need to do something different. So I grabbed the dress and I squeezed into it like Cinderella and I twirled around. I looked at myself in the mirror one more time. And I was just like staring at myself. It's like, oh my gosh, I feel like a princess. Like I hadn't seen myself. There was this visceral response that ended up happening in my body, in my mind. So I bought that dress that day. I literally called it a costume because I didn't believe it. I said, okay, I'm just going to wear this red dress out in the world. I'm going to see just what happens. And everything started changing. And to my surprise also, I realized that men were checking me out and I didn't like it. That was the biggest surprise. Oh my God, this whole time I've been wearing these black clothes as a cloak to keep me invisible from the aliens. And it was all fear-based. And I think that's one of the things about dating in the second act is that you have a new identity than you did, way back in your 20s. That's where everything kind of started. And I realized there was a symbiotic relationship between the outer and the inner when it comes to confidence, that it's not superficial, that how we carry ourselves, how we market ourselves, that creates opportunity for people to get to know us. Otherwise, love could pass you by if you don't put yourself out there. And that's where it all started. And so now I flip the script. As a therapist, I used to work from the inside out. Now I work from the outside in. And that's where my whole charisma quotient formula came about, which is the name of my podcast.
Okay, so much to unpack here.
This
is how Kimmy gets her mojo back. So you said that you were mid-30s or around that when you got divorced. How many years did it take to kind of get back into things? And then what were some of the biggest challenges you had once you started dating?
I always tell people, when I work with people, especially who are getting back out there after a long relationship, whether, you've had a death of a spouse or a divorce or never been married, it takes a minute to really get yourself back. And in that first year, you asked how long? As a therapist, I would tell you, intellectually, we know that it takes at least half the lifetime of a relationship to really heal. But that doesn't mean that you're not ready to get back out there. That first year was a fog, I will say. And I remember just almost numbing out. I see people who come to me in that first year and I'm like, oh, they're freshmen. They just haven't gone through it yet. They're not even freshmen. They're almost in kindergarten. And it's a wonderful place to be because that's the era where you can really practice getting your mojo back. That's when the makeovers happen, That's when you can start, gaining a social circle with other single people that's so crucial for your journey. That's when you can work on talking to the aliens, the opposite sex that maybe you haven't done in a very long time. You don't have to shut down your life or not date. So if you're listening and you had a fling with maybe a younger rock star musician, that's totally normal. I did. I full disclosure, I did that.
Oh, when do I get mine? Oh my God, that sounds fun.
Oh, man.
I feel like you had yours in Greece.
Yeah, he was younger, but not a rock star. I'm really holding on to the rock star part.
And then I started dating a lot of rock stars. I think I was trying to get that out of my system and it helped me feel young and sexy. And I'm like, okay, now I need a little more stability. And then I went through, so you go through different phases. And I will say that it depends also how long you were with that other person and also how nasty the divorce is or how hard the death was. We all go through different journeys. And that's why I'm very careful when I talk about this because there's no cookie cutter approach, really. Like, it's not one size fits all. It's really looking at people and their journey and the things that they need to work on moving forward in this part of their life.
So one of the things we talked about in our Dating in Your 30s episode was, the biological clock and how challenging that can be when you're in your 30s and then just feeling like, limited time is left. And I know it's all subjective because obviously we're talking about decades later at this point too. I'm curious for you, because you this is, I guess, why it's never like a universal age.
Totally.
Because you're clearly, when you were dating in your late 30s, you already had children, you were in a different second act coming out of a divorce. I guess, what were some of the noticeable things that you saw from 30s to 40s from your experience? Yeah. And then also with your clients, does that pressure lift a little?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I was saying to one of my clients recently that there's different issues and challenges that come with each decade too. Mm-hmm. People who are dating in their 20s have very different expectations and also visions of themselves than people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. But that sweet spot, you're right, the 30s to 40s, I feel is one of the bridges, to kind of getting to the the other side, so to speak.
Oh my goodness.
Right? It kind of is.
Scary.
And it's beautiful. And it's almost like thinking of yourself as, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and you're just kind of collecting tools in your little basket, skipping along the way and learning as you transition over the bridge into the yellow brick road. And the thing that I found is that now there are some women who still want and desire and can have kids in their 40s.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to categorize, well, once you're done with your 30s, then you're done with your kids too. But there is from the late 30s to the early 40s, kind of you're finishing that vision possibly, or you're possibly looking to adopt, or you're possibly looking to marry or find somebody who has kids. So that's interesting. So I think the sense of family is really strong during that transition. And people are dealing with juggling kids and the desire to want kids and also date at the same time. And that's a hard part, I think, in that era, so to speak. And that's why I say it's so beautiful when you get to the other side of nearing maybe 50, because that part's a little bit more settled and the children are older and they're more independent. You don't have to divide your time as much. And your career is a little more settled as well. So as a person, you're more settled. Hopefully, that's not everybody. Again, we live in a day and an age where we can just reinvent ourselves constantly, which is beautiful part of our era. I find that one of the hardships, though, then when you get to the other side of, say, 50, now people get set in their own ways, right? 'Cause more time goes by. And so now renegotiating and compromising things that you're really settled with, not so easy. So you have to figure out okay, I kind of like my bed and sleeping by myself. I kind of like having my own bathroom, and vanity
I'm
mirror.
already there.
You're ahead of your time. Anyway. We've heard too about 60s and 70s of people, are you a nurse or a purse type of thing? When you're dating, I don't know if you've heard stuff like that. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Actually, at my retreat, I would say more women in their 60s were there. That was probably the larger population. And so good news, bad news about 60s is that, people who are taking care of themselves look amazing and they feel great and they want to go do things. And then trying to find a partner that matches their health and their energy it's hard. Yeah. People are all over the place. And then there's things that you just can't predict that might happen. And then you have also grandkids now coming into the mix. So now we have a new generation of kids that they want to spend time with. They're not willing to leave their family for. That's what happened with the Golden Bachelor, if you remember. At least they claimed that was the issue. There were other issues, obviously. There was an article, and I can't quote the article that I read, but they said that the 60s is supposed to be the best years of people's lives.
Oh, my gosh.
Great. We have something to look forward to.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I know. I'm okay, well, that's right. It gives me me something to look forward to.
But why?
You have the resources, mostly financially you're stable. People are usually in pretty good health. You have more freedom. But most of all, what they said is you're really settled in who you are. Like you just don't care anymore about things that like we kind of care about as we're younger and we're getting to know ourselves. The insecurities go away.
Yeah.
We just don't put up with shit. You know what I mean?
I love that because we pointed that out in our Dating in Your 30s episode, that that's a benefit of, dating in your 30s versus 20s. You know yourself better. You have more meaningful conversations and dates and relationships. It's good to hear that it only goes up.
It only goes up. It does.
I think that you also gain more clarity on what you're looking for. I do find that as you reach late 30s to early 40s, a lot of women are reaching clarity on whether they really want kids or they want kids with a partner. Yeah. And so many of my friends have chosen to have kids on their own. In fact, I heard this story about this woman who has a partner, but has chosen to have kids on her own that are separate from her partner because she still wants a kid on her own, despite whether she has a partner or not in her life. I think that's like a whole new level of clarity that we just don't get in our 20s.
But that's also so beautiful because you think about way back in the day, like our grandparents' era, or even before that, there really was only just like traditional roles and models for relationships. You just had like you get married and that was it. There was no kind of exploration of what a relationship could look like. And that's, I think, a benefit to the modern dating world and especially later in life. And again, another benefit is that there's no timetable anymore when you get older. Like, you can have whatever you want. You could have a situationship, right? You could have friends with benefit. You could have a travel buddy. And that, let me tell you, that's real. And a lot of people who come from divorce don't even want to get married again.
Right. We see that
very
a lot.
Common. Yeah. You don't need the contract anymore. And a lot of people are just kind of independent and happy with that. But they want a companion. They want a partner. And that can look like however you want as long as there's communication around it and it works for you.
I think something Yue and I have noticed from our community, because we've noticed the exact same thing. There's a lot of people that are divorced and they're like, yep, I'm good. I don't need to get married again. But obviously they're still in the dateable community. So they want to find, companionship and partnership. And it doesn't need to necessarily be marriage per se. But I think one of the things that we've noticed too is like the challenges that people in their 20s and 30s face. I mean, there's always nuance with age, but a lot of them are actually very similar despite your age.
Definitely. I was talking to a client the other day, and this is very common. I'm sure you hear this too. It's like, oh, my town sucks.
Oh, yeah. Everyone thinks their town's the worst.
Their town is, or it's my age, or, oh, the guys, or, oh, the girl. Like everybody, the truth of the matter is just dating's hard no matter where you are.
Yes.
It's what you do with your town. It's what you do as a woman. It's what you do and who you attract is what makes the difference. And that's what gets you the results because you can't change the people around you. All you can do is look at you and do something different that gets a different result. That's why I like doing like dating plans with people. I don't know if you guys talk about this at all, but just like business plans where we're putting things on the calendar that's very intentional to have people go out and just see the world a little bit differently. I don't know if I told this story last time. Did I ever tell you the story of the voodoo doll?
No, that's a new one.
No. Okay. Do tell.
Sometimes I don't remember which story I've told on which podcast. But no, this highlights what we're talking about. So this woman calls me up. She was definitely like, I think maybe in her 50s, 60s. And she lived up in Montreal. And she's like, Kimmy, you're my last hope. I'm like, well, already that was the problem. Right? I'm like, okay, no pressure. Right? So I'm like, okay. So I said, oh, so what's going on? She said, well, I've scoured the earth. I've dated literally every guy in this town.
Oh my God.
I have tried everything. I've gone on every dating app imaginable and they're just no good men. And she's like, help. Can you help me? And I just said, I'm not sure I can. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I heard that you can do miracles, like that you can really help people find love and blah, blah. I said, well, I can. However, if you continue to believe, and I believe that you believe there are no good men out there, I can't help you.
Right.
And here's the thing, we all get stuck in our beliefs and what we see. I said, but if you're willing to try some things that are different, because I can't change your town, I can't change all these things around you, but we can maybe look at some things that you're doing and not doing that might make a difference. She's like, okay. So she hires me. I said, look, before our first call, I want you to do one thing. I want you to simply go to work. She walked to work, and I just want you looking around and notice who's noticing you. She's like, well, I know everybody in this hometown. I said, I know what you're telling me. But this time I want you to look with a different pair of eyes as homework and just notice men who are noticing you. That's it. And then we'll have our first call. So she comes back on the first call. She's like, Kimmy, do you have a voodoo doll? I'm like, no, I don't have a voodoo doll. What happened? She's like, I can't believe what just happened this week. I did what you said. I was walking to work. I looked around. I saw this man sitting on a bench. He was really good looking, and he's looking at me. And we lock eyes. I don't know how he got me over there to talk to him, but we're talking and we're having the best time talking. And he asked for my number. And then he asked to go out with me. And Kimmy, I already went on a date with him. It was like the best date of my life. I said, so this was in a town, in a place where you've scoured the earth where no good men were. And she's like, I know. That's what I'm saying. You must have a voodoo doll. I said, no. I said, you just opened your eyes and saw something different. Mm-hmm. And it was the awareness piece and really being focused on that energy. So that guy ended up being her boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
And it was, I mean, it's like, it gives me chills today. Yeah. Obviously, there were other things to work on. Yeah. And we had to break a lot of her like limiting beliefs and patterns and all that stuff that goes with it. I call it the dating matrix. When you put on a different pair of glasses, the same earth that you're looking at, but you're looking at it different and you're doing things differently. That almost creates more opportunities for you.
So I think that's one of the things with dating later in life. I don't even like using that term, but second act. We'll use second act. I like that better. What is later in life? But anyways, like I think one of the limiting beliefs that comes out is that there's a limited dating pool. There's no one good left. Especially for women, society has told us that we're expired goods. I don't believe this. I'm just quoting what we hear.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get out of that mindset? Because I feel like if you're going in, it sounds like your client, right? If you're in that mindset, of course, dating is going to be terrible.
Oh my God. I hear this all of the time. Yeah. There was this one woman who went to my dating retreat last weekend and she raised her hand and she said exactly that. She's like, but Kimmy, I just don't find these guys attractive. Like, there's no guys that I would want to date. And she also was in a small town, that kind of thing. And we had this big conversation. There's a lot of, I guess, layers to this question. I'll kind of peel away a couple of them.
Let's go into it.
So one is, it has to do with how long you've been out there. And there's something weird that happens when you've been in a long marriage or a time warp. It's almost as if when you get plopped down to the earth again, your vision of yourself is how you were when the rocket took off. It's almost like going back in time and you're like that adolescent again. And so you think you're the same almost. There's just like this cognitive dissonance. Yeah. And then also you're looking for the men who looked like that in the 20s, you know? And so there's this kind of girls gone wild and boys will be boys kind of like stage that people go through. And so, yeah, like if you're in that stage, you kind of get caught up in the shiny object syndrome, you know? And so there's not maybe, you know, the hot guys or the hot women that you remember that you want for yourself. And it makes sense because you're looking to get your mojo back. You're almost this kid in the candy store. It's a normal thing that happens. So I will say that's the first thing is it depends on where you are in your growth and how much time has gone on. Now, as time goes on, you start maturing and then you realize there's other things that you get attracted to. There's other ways of connecting and other opportunities that you can have. But a lot of people are so closed off to that in the beginning because you're just a newbie. So what I'm telling people to do as you're getting back out there, like dating in real life and giving yourself chances, is just being in this open space where you're flirting and having fun with everyone without expectations. This is why I teach flirting so much, as you ladies know. The definition of flirting is to behave as though you're attracted to someone without the serious intention of an outcome. Everyone gets attached to the outcome, especially later in life, because you're thinking like a relationship person. That's the other cognitive dissonance. So that's the third layer. Most people when we dated back in the day before we had apps, I don't know if you ladies even remember that.
Of course.
I'm like, I don't know, like, because you guys seem young, but we literally had to like dial that darn phone, pick up the heavy handle and call people, or we had to talk to Bob across the street or Betsy next door. Like, we didn't have choices. We had to cultivate things, and then we get into a relationship. We didn't have like a lot of like dating experiences.
Right.
So when we get back out there in the wild, we're looking for an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. And that's never a good idea when you're trying to just like learn about yourself. So I always tell people, after you just like are in that reinvention stage, you're flirting, you're having fun, you're on the playground, as I call it, you're swinging on swings. And then you decide who you want to like move on with and have play dates with, but not marrying. So getting into the mindset of just dating without getting attached is the other thing. And it's all of that to say is why it feels like the pool is small, because people's expectations is a little bit different, later in life, which is different than like, when you're in your 20s. And then the other reality is just creating opportunities for yourself. This is why it's so important to get back out there, get into hobbies, passions that, you're interested in. Having a strong social life is really important, and having single friends, because most people who are coming out of a divorce or it's been a while have coupled friends. No offense to them, but they don't get it. They're nice people. They just don't get it. So you need to have that sexy energy of other single women and men so that you have more opportunity to just lift each other up and just go out there.
I'm so glad you brought up attraction, because just like our taste in everything else in life, our taste in a potential partner should evolve as we age. I think a lot of daters get stuck on what they used to be attracted to, and we haven't really refined our taste. And just like your red dress story, if someone didn't ask you to try on that dress, you would have been stuck in the black clothes phase. It's the same thing with dating. It's like, don't you think we should just get out there and experiment, try on different kinds of people before we get so stuck on, well, I need to be attracted in this way?
No, absolutely. Try on different people for sizes, and some have like low hanger appeal, and then you try it on, you're like, oh, actually, this kind of fits. Like, I like this. And then some look amazing on the hanger, and you try it on, you're like, oh, it doesn't fit me at all, and that's what you should really be doing. I do this thing with my clients. I call it data dating. And within the data dating, there's kind of these different things that I teach. And one of them is like a chemistry analysis, and just literally looking at different parts of chemistry and how that's important in the beginning stages versus also patterns that they had in the past. There's a woman who just kept getting attracted to narcissists that I was working with, and every guy she looked at, the chemistry, she was looking at more the physical, and she wasn't paying attention to the emotional chemistry. And I'm like, well, no wonder that's why you keep attracting narcissists, because the emotional EQ is not there. So her journey was to override that by looking at emotional triggers and learning how to express herself and seeing what guys really cared about her to build that to create attraction. She almost turned this guy away because he wasn't good looking enough. And I'm like, honey, your type isn't working for you. Try that on for size, and see. And she came back on the first day. She's like, that was the best date I've ever had. I've never even felt that way before. So when you are going back out there later in life, really what you're doing is dating yourself, especially because you have to get to know who you are. Again, you change over time. And maybe this is also an opportunity to break bad habits. Because if you're the people pleaser, or you're the person who's emotionally unavailable, or whatever that is, what a great time in your life to override those old habits, because you might attract something different with that.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners.
Vacation season is nearly upon us, and this year I'm treating myself to the luxe upgrades I deserve with Quince's high-quality travel essentials at fair prices, like lightweight European linen styles from $30, with premium luggage options and stylish tote bags to carry it all. And what's music to my ears is that all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing manufacturing practices. I love that. Now, for me, I've upgraded my travel outfit with the Quince Ultra Stretch Straight Leg Ponte Pants. They look like put together slacks, but feel like lounge pants. So perfect for long flights. For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for 365-day returns, plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DATEABLE.
April is Earth Month. If there is one thing I've learned, it's that quality is sustainability. Think about it. When you invest in well-made, durable products, you're not just buying something that lasts longer. You're keeping waste out of landfills and reducing the need for constant replacements. That's exactly why I love Avocado Green Mattress. Avocado mattresses are crafted with the highest quality certified organic materials and expert craftsmanship. They're also climate neutral certified, meaning every purchase helps reduce carbon emissions and supports a healthier planet. Avocado mattresses offer easy financing options with Affirm, sleep trials up to 1 year, and generous warranties for your peace of mind. The best part is that you can try before you buy. You can visit one of their retail stores or premier retail partners to experience the comfort firsthand. Head to avocadomattress.com today and save up to 10% on certified organic mattresses. Dream of better for you and the planet.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
I mean, I think a lot of people are, what we've been describing, they've either come out of divorce or maybe it was just a long relationship that wasn't marriage, but it's still in a way starting over and feeling like I need to regain that sense of self. What about the people that have just been dating for a long time? We said it before, there's no real age limits anymore. 40's the new 30, etc. So what if you've just been single and there's this mindset of, people cap their dating apps at 39. When I'm 40, I'm not going to get any matches anymore. What would you say to those types of people?
I think it depends on your journey with yourself with that, because I think there's different reasons why people might be dating for a long time and not being in a committed situation. I guess that would be the first thing, is to understand and maybe work with someone on what are your patterns and what has been hard for you, because I worked with a lot of people who just keep dating because they have trust issues and they were traumatized as a kid or in a narcissistic or abusive relationship. And they just keep dating because they're scared of getting attached and in another bad relationship. So that could be one situation. Whatever your journey is, it's super important to unpack that, to understand what the pattern is or maybe what's blocking it or what your love shield is. But know that once you crack the code, it's never too late. You don't have to cap yourself at 39 on the apps. There's opportunity everywhere and anywhere. I think the name of the game is to diversify. I always say you have to diversify your dating portfolio like your financial portfolio. You can't just put all your stock in one thing. So if you're only going on the dating apps and nothing is happening, then you're numbing out and you're not really exercising your social muscle. So everyone and anyone can learn it.
It's a social skill. I mean, a lot of it is just relational, and we think so much of it is not a skill we need to learn, but more of a game we need to play. Because what we find with younger daters is that they're almost giving up on love.
Yeah.
And this is what we're calling the love crisis. And you've seen all the articles that have come out. People are tapping out on dating. Do you also find the same thing with Act 2 daters?
Yes, and what I'll say is that the later daters don't even know how to date, if that makes sense. The later daters are more relationship oriented and maybe have had a couple relationships in their life. I'm not saying all of it. There's been some people who had a rich dating life before they got married or whatever. They're more just scared, I think, and confused what the modern dating world even is. But what I will say, the good thing about our generation, I'm putting myself in this category, is that we learned the sense of courtship.
Mm-hmm.
We knew how to pace things out.
Yep.
There was a clear distinction of roles with the masculine and feminine energy. And so, like we kind of pick up that, and there's still that sense of courtship, which the younger generation has no clue what to do with that. They don't even know what courtship is. They hang out and they hook up, or they're friends with benefits, or all of a sudden they're in a relationship. Like there's no sense of earning each other. And I think that's been a really interesting distinction with the generations. I think that's what the people later in life are really interested in, is learning the skill of dating and flirting and pacing things out and understanding the apps and where to go. A lot of them are really getting into it. They're excited. They're like, wow, I've never done this before. There's a little like guilt that people have. It's like a guilty pleasure. Like, oh, that sounds fun. I always have free breakthrough calls, so if anybody wants to talk to me, and I ask people like, what is it that you want? And the later daters always say, well, I want a relationship that. I said, okay, what if I took away that for you? What if I said, you're not allowed to answer a relationship or boyfriend or girlfriend? What is it that you want right now for yourself? And all of a sudden they lighten up. They're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I'd like to have fun. And they almost are, they feel guilty saying that, but they're not looking at dating as being fun. And that's something that I'm so passionate about. Like at my retreats, I make people do like improv games and go out in the field with apps and talk to people, and they come back laughing and giggling like little girls and boys, and really that's what's attractive too, is going back to that energy, that youthful energy that once made us tick. So it could be really fun.
Sadly, even youthful, like people have the same feeling 10 decades earlier, right? I think that's just the sentiment right now.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like with technology, because we had this other conversation and I didn't really like connect it, but like obviously the younger you are, the more ingrained technology just is in your life. Like for me, I was always texting, so using dating apps was very natural. I'm curious, like what you find with people that are in the second act, like is there a struggle there? Do people just immediately get it?
There's such a learning curve. I can't tell you how many people I've had to just go on Zoom and walk them through how to upload Bumble. There's this near and dear client. He literally is the real Golden Bachelor. He's 75. He's the widower. He called me. He's like, Kimmy, I don't know what to do. And it was so cute. Like, he's like, can you just help me download Bumble? So I met with him and we went out in the field. I was like teaching him things, but he just needed to know about the technology. And it was so cute. He came with his new photos. He printed them out because he didn't know how to attach them in an email. Okay. So it was so cute. And it was like old school. So on the table, we had all these pictures of him. Then he's taking notes on the back of the photos of which ones to upload. And it was but this is what I'm saying, like things that we take for granted that just come like that is very daunting for them. So there is a learning curve. I think that's what also overwhelms a lot of people getting out there, because they're like, I don't even know how to use these apps. Can you help me get started? So yes, technology is a big thing. It's so interesting because it's almost like the different decades have flip-flop problems, because the younger generations are so dependent on technology that they have no social skills. Yeah. And then the older ones have only the social skills to rely on, but then they don't know how to do the technology.
To get there. Yeah.
That's why I love like all talking about this, because we could really all help each other.
I just assume an older person going online dating is similar to me trying to make a TikTok video. Basically just like, fuck it, I don't want to do it. Someone else do it for me.
I think one of the things that we get a lot from people is, how do I make time for dating when I have work, kids, like the whole thing. And I think even if you don't have children, the more time that goes on, you might be more established in your career, or something might be pulling at your time. Like, what's advice for people that are juggling all the things?
Oof. Oh gosh, again, this could be a whole other podcast, right? And we're all, as a society, getting busier and busier too. Because if you think about it, technology is one of the biggest culprits of this.
Yeah.
We can now do a zillion things, multitask, get a lot more things done. So we're busier and we accept more projects. We accept things into our life. So it is so different than back in the day when we had like one job, or even before, like when even women weren't working. And I think that's the first thing to take a look at. Are you just busy being busy, which a lot of my high achievers do because they'd rather spend time doing things that they feel confident in versus dating because that doesn't feel very, good. A lot of people that I've worked with have actually admitted that. They're like, I'm good at my job. I'm good at doing things. I feel better when I'm busy, but then they're not prioritizing dating or flirting because that's harder for them.
Right. Or you're not seeing results.
Correct.
Which is like demotivating. Yeah.
They get rewarded for doing a good job at work, but there's no reward with the failed attempts that they're trying, or not trying at all. So once that gets discovered, if you put like your social dating life as a priority, then you literally have to carve out time to do it. You have to be intentional. You have to put it on the calendar and make it as meaningful and as important as a business meeting is. Because a lot of people do that, and let's say blue is their business. Like their whole calendar's blue, and then their social life is like a sliver of pink. Well, that's a problem. And so where can you put more of the pink? Like I'll tell people to put flirt time or organic time on their calendar. Every Wednesday from 5 to 6, you go to the Whole Foods store and you put on your shopping list, shopping for men or shopping for women, right? Like that is on your list, and you have to, like, especially later in life, you have to be intentional and really take a look at also the strategy behind that too. So people will say, oh, I don't have time. I'll go to a bar and there's no one there. Well, maybe you went at a bad time. Maybe you went on a wrong day. Maybe you went to a bad place. You have to spend time really looking at where people are and also just being present. That's my final kind of say around this, is that I think so many people are going a mile a minute. That they're like worrying about the future, worrying about what's next, worrying about the past, the trust issues, that no one is focusing on the now. And the more you focus on now, that's where connection and opportunities get created.
That's advice for every age.
A little bit. It's no different. There are nuances with the different age groups, but in the end, we all struggle.
Yeah.
And if we can just support each other and help each other. And the other thing I'll say as almost like a button to it all is that it's the small wins that add up to the bigger success. If you just do these micro transactions and work on just building your confidence in each of these skills, that's what will like gain your confidence overall. And I promise, like, it works when you put energy into this.
Speaking of the decades, can we go through each decade and just dole out a quick piece of advice for each one of them, starting with the 40s? What would you tell all of us dating in our 40s?
40s. My dating advice would be, this is a time to really kind of gain clarity and how you want to negotiate your time and figure out, especially how we were saying with, the family and kids and your career. If you're single looking to mingle in your 40s, if you're spending 90% of your time in your career just because it's easier, then what is your priority right now? Do you want to continue down this path? Because you're still young enough. You have your whole life ahead of you. This is your opportunity to still explore. Definitely. There's a little still instability in your 40s. I know when I was younger, I thought by the time I was in my 40s, I was going to be set. I still found the 40s a little rocky, to be honest. I think, like we were talking about that, the bridge. I just think it's a time for renegotiation, looking at really what you want, prioritizing, and all that. 50s, I think, is a beautiful time. I think it depends on where you are in your life and where you have been. So if you're coming out of divorce is different than if you are. Sadly, people are starting to lose spouses at this age. Yeah. Or if you've never been married, that's a different category. So 50s is a time you're a little more settled, you have more resources, you can explore. But I think it's really, and I hate to say it, but it's about sexy confidence. This is when menopause happens. This is when guys' bodies start changing. Dad bods, as they say. It's embracing where you are. It's getting your health in order, because health also really influences the way you date. So now we're starting to get into those kind of issues, to start looking at. And I think if you really focus on seeing yourself as sexy, no matter what stage you're in, that's going to be the key to your dating success. because a lot of that sexy confidence plummets in the 50s. I would say in the 60s, like we talked about, it is supposed to be the golden years, your best years of your life. But I think it's really being more open and let go of the rigidity because you're so set in your ways right now. I just find a lot of people just get very rigid and closed-minded and they're not open to new opportunities or even people. So people, I think, are vetting too hard. They have really high expectations of other people. And because they don't care and they don't like necessarily need anybody, there's almost this like laziness or laissez-faire type of attitude. Right. So you have to really decide what it is you want. This is the time to gain clarity. What is it that you want? Because there's that confusion again that happens in the 60s. 70s and beyond, I just think usually you could relax now too, and it's a time to just enjoy.
Okay, I'm going to ask one last dumb question, but is there any truth to like the nursing home thing that like that's where the most active sex life is?
Oh.
I told you it's going to be a dumb question.
I don't have the inside scoop on that, but I heard the same thing. I heard also like the retirement community.
They get it on.
Honestly, if any producers are out there listening, like that should be a reality show.
That should be.
How fun would that be? Like watching people date.
Yeah. I mean, screw the Golden Bachelor. We're in the...
Oh my God, the retirement. Yeah, we could come up with like a really cool title for that.
We'll brainstorm
instead of a mansion,
later.
you're in a retirement community. I mean,
we don't have to rent a home. It's already there.
Oh my God, that's right. They wouldn't have to rent the bachelor mansion and anymore. They would have the grounds. I love
it.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah. This has been such a great conversation. Besides our reality TV idea, I think I've taken so much away from this. I just love hearing about different, generations and how dating is the same, but also very different. There's always nuance like between your gender, where you live and all that, but there's always these overarching similarities too. So it's really interesting to hear like how it goes. And I think I really believe very firmly that you can find love at any age. We've done episodes on this. We've heard of people getting engaged, all sorts of age brackets, and, or just loving their love lives. Like, you don't even have to be on the path to marriage again. And I think that it really comes down to what you believe, like what we were talking about with the limiting beliefs. I remember I put something on our Facebook group about like, you can find love at any age. And I remember one person was like, well, can is the operative word. Like, that's not the norm. And it's like, well, the fact that that was what was picked up on means that that's the belief that's out there. So it's hard because society has fed us so much BS about like age and how it's harder the older we get and all that. But like, how do we actually stay present? Like what you were saying, Kimmy, and look at our situation, the benefits. Like, we can't go back in time, whatever age we're at. So how do we embrace where we are and see, the good that's with our age bracket and where we are dating?
Beautiful, beautiful summary.
Of all the advice you gave, Kimmy, I didn't hear anything about game playing. And I think that's one major takeaway is as we get older, we break out of the games. And that's a great thing. We are becoming the main character in this love story. It's not about winning other people over or trying to win this dating game. It's about what do I want? And it feels like you gain more clarity as life goes on. And I think in every decade that we get to be in, it's such a privilege. Aging is such a privilege. And it's good to step back and ask, what do I get to do in this decade that I didn't get to do in the last one? And exercise that decade. Sometimes we do focus on what do we lose as we age, but I think we gain so much more. We're always in this more privileged position as we enter the second act.
I love that. And I love the positivity energy around that because it is so easy to get caught in the negativity of it all, of aging and feeling like there's not a lot of options out there. But again, it does go back to, like, Julie, what you were saying, like the mindset and also what you're highlighting is that the more we can see it as something really beautiful to look forward to, where you get to practice different things, you get to attract different people, you get to be different. That's what will make a huge difference in your love life overall.
And I think just one last comment. I mean, obviously, divorce and separation and breakups, all of that, there's so many layers and everyone has a different story. We have heard from a lot of people in our Facebook community, especially. They are really embracing and enjoying the second act and have different goals. Like, it's not all about like getting married again or being in a long-term relationship, but they still want love at the end of the day. So I think, of course, everyone is different, but we had another guest that we talked to last season about normalizing divorce. Like, if it comes to a point where it's not serving you anymore to be married to someone, in today's world, I actually think one of the biggest benefits is that people are coming in and out of the dating pool at all ages. Like, back in the day, it was not like that. It was more
we have a choice.
Yeah. And like, I think that's something that like kind of debunks that whole like it's too late or there's no one out there still. You could be married to the love of your life and you could lose them. Like, there's so many reasons why you might end up dating again. So I think that's a reminder to all of us, even if you're in a relationship current day, there is a chance you will be dating in that second act. Like, that is a definite possibility, and it could be a good thing. It's not always a bad thing.
Kimmy, if people want to find out more about you and how they can work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, obviously my podcast, The Charisma Quotient, and you can hear these ladies on my podcast quite a bit too. If you go to kimmyseltzer.com/now, that's KIMMYSELTZER/now. There's actually a landing page. I just made it really easy. You can take my flirt quiz if you want to know what kind of flirt you are. And that's a really fun way of just kind of seeing like maybe where your blind spots are. I also have an update of all my retreats coming up and all the monthly workshops that I do. So it's the best way of just getting information.
Awesome. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes as well.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun.
I know.
So much fun.
We missed you. It's good to have you back.
Thank you for coming back. Yes. And for all of our listeners, what did you learn from this episode? What are you taking away? What is a privilege you get to do in your decade of dating, your era? And what are you looking forward to in the next decade? Why don't you let us know in your comments for your ratings and reviews? Just give us 5 stars in Apple Podcasts, and in the body of your review, you can tell us what's something that you're doing right now that you really enjoy in your decade and what's something you're looking forward to in the next decade. All right. With that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Stay dateable.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets, with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.